didn't expect her to be here. And then she steers towards you and just looks. She finally breaks the silence and just says, "Hi."
That was Talia, right?
Yep.
Well, hello there, little one. When did you
Um,
get here?
I'm just going for a walk.
As was I. That that boy was quite intense.
Yeah, I'm doing a weird hugging dance at home. So, yeah, I'm just going for a walk. Get my mind off things.
Well, let's walk then. Where would you like to
Mm,
go?
I'm just going to my safe place. It's just in the woods by itself.
How about you show me this safe place?
If I show you, it's not going to be a safe place anymore. That's why you have a safe place. The more people you let in, the less safe it actually is.
Oh, but people can be very safe if you know them well enough.
Mm. Yeah. I just looks around. Mm. Lila's at home. She's lonely. So, I don't know. You can just, I don't know, go back and keep her company, I guess. I'll be back when I come back.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the background.
Layla's back at home. And she's probably lonely right now, but and she probably wants to see you again. So just, God damn it. Jimmy, go upstairs. Siblings.
Classic.
Just,
Imagine having a family.
yeah, Talia. Imagine. It's uh, just go back to Layla. She probably doesn't want to be alone with the pink-haired thing, the witch. It's, I don't know.
If you insist. Just come home safe, will you?
Mm, just walks. You hear the crunching of the leaves beneath her, slight snapping of nearby sticks and such, and she just waddles away from you, disappears from sight, in a weird place where now you have to orientate yourself. Find your way home, wherever the fuck you are.
Well, if there's anything I've learned from being here, it's just to start walking. And that's
You
exactly what she does.
just choose a direction, just walk, assuming it'll bring you to the right place. Camera cuts backwards towards Layla, and after you're standing up there, suddenly, correspondingly, you hear the bushes rustle around you, but it's a rather large rustle.
Uh, Hello?
I'm gonna shift over to my phone and go downstairs, because family is literally just infesting this floor at this point.
Hell yeah. That was
Yep,
funny. It's like giggle.
best background music ever.
What? As the rustles just around you, notice that you're probably not alone anymore.
Hello?
As you do so, snap with a twig, a bird fly in the distance, as corresponding to that sound.
Talia? Is that you?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
gurgling, growling.
Oh, that is not Talia, no. I'm gonna slowly just kind of backpedal and try and be quiet and go back into the house.
And you do so, and you slowly move backwards, and the tree in front of you, part of it just kind of gets slashed. And the bushes rustle outwards, and this rather large figure jumps outwards and as young Jericho just jumps on the floor. He looks around, and his body's erratic, frantic, staring around. When he sees you, his rather aggressive nature, his feralness that you've not seen before, dies downwards, his wings furrow inwards. He sits back down. His eyes, like that of a lizard's, closed in little slits, expand outwards and dilate as they see you. And he looks and sits down.
You scared me, Jericho. Do you know where Talia is? She was looking for you.
He kind of turns his head towards you, confused.
That's a lot of noises. We don't have a code for that yet, do we?
He looks around, and his face kind of goes to the floor, begins sniffing around. Strange. Is he's in a rather curious state. And the music. Great. Where's my ruby? It's hard to do that. Hard to Google. He looks around this point, his face slow to the ground, sniffing. Just growling.
At me?
No. Whatever he's smelling, he doesn't like.
Jericho? What's wrong? I kind of walk up next to him and I'm gonna just put my hand on the back of his neck.
As you
gently.
Go up towards him. I'm not on my roll 20 right now, so I cannot make rolls. But give me a medicine check real quick.
Meds? Oh wait, I'm good at this. It's one of my proficiencies. Which means it's a +1. 16.
You notice that as you peer towards Jericho, his wings have a erratic nature to them. They're not as free flowy as they are as you investigate. His wings are predisposed. They're currently sheltering over something, and his wings are bent in a way that is trying to hide something from you. Strange.
What's wrong, Jericho?
He growls at that question and kind of just like slinks around. He continues just sniffing the ground. Eyes, you watch his eyes as whenever he faces you, they periodically dilate or close in as he, whenever he smells something, he hears growling as he does so, moving
There's
around.
nothing here.
At this point, he keeps his wings like away from you. He's making sure that you don't see anything. And he continues moving around. And you hear in the distance a large crackling, and birds in the distance fly more so into the sky. To this point, that Layla, you somehow miraculously manage to choose the right direction, and you pop up from the bush. Jericho,
Wait, Layla or Kayla?
Kayla. Jericho growls towards you as you show off. He notices his aggression and immediately takes it back and slings his form inward. He looks towards you, and there's this apologetic regret, but that quickly fades away as he continues sniffing the ground.
Kayla tilts her head to the right and looks at Layla. What is going on with Jericho?
I don't know. He just came back, and there's something wrong. I'm not sure what.
Well, Jericho, can you at least point us towards what's bothering you?
He just growls in repetition as you say that, just growling, just nodding his head towards you, just growling.
Me? Am I the one bothering you?
He shakes his head, saying no, just. He's just growling. He's frustrated right now because he doesn't speak common and he can't communicate with you, but there are things he wants to say but can't.
Look, Jericho, if we can just go inside, and all will be all right. Talia should be back soon, and she can understand what's going on.
Oh, about that.
What?
Kayla points off in the opposite direction she came from. And it's like, Talia walked off somewhere that way. And said she wanted to be left alone.
Kind of pet the back of Jericho's neck, and I'm like,
As you pet the back of Jericho's neck, he slinks away from your tongue, backs off 5 feet, and looks at you with this sad, angry disposition. And he just sits there.
are you? Do you need Talia, Jericho?
Gives you a confused set of growling. He doesn't know what he needs right now. He's facing a rather strange conflict, one that he still can't express. There's a combination of a language barrier and a new, strange encounter that he's not used to.
You can tell us what's happening.
He kind of growls to that, a frustrated growl.
Is there another beast around?
As he kind of say that, his eyes kind of close inwards. His body kind of relaxes for a bit and looks towards you with these eyes of surprise.
Is it dangerous? Well, I suppose it must be if it's got you acting this way.
And kind of, as you kind of say that, when you say dangerous, he looks at you, looks at the ground, and then looks away from you.
Well, should we leave this place?
Another set of confused growls. There's an internal confliction here, but he can't express it. And he is agitated to an insane extent right now.
Look, Jericho, why don't we just go back inside? You can rest and recover from whatever happened, and then we can figure out what our next steps are.
Can I insight to see if I could figure out his response to her asking if we should leave the place.
Sure, go ahead and roll an insight check. You would have advantage because you've been around Jericho.
God
Great.
damn.
This is a sicko.
What we got?
9.
As you read about Jericho's nature, this is a side of Jericho that you've never seen before. Normally, his happy-go-lucky, really energetic, like almost large canine-like demeanor is what you're used to. A serious Jericho that seems almost frightening and like a threat to you is one that's completely foreign and it takes you by surprise. Even with your time spent with him, it's hard to get a read on him, even as it is. You gain that he has a concoction of different responses. He has fear, regret, anger, self loathing, a little bit of loss and loneliness in there as well. He has this need to protect that is tainted for some reason. Not by any magical means, but by more his own mentality. One that's caused by a third party element that, in all honesty, it doesn't even seem like he wants to express.
Kayla approaches and stands right in front of him, drops down to one knee, and just sort of caresses his cheek. You think we should leave for safety, but you don't want to leave Talia out there.
Insight check it.
Inside.
I clicked the button. Where's the roll? There we go.
10.
10.
And this one is a strange one. It's even more stranger to hear this one. And this read bothers you because it seems that Jericho as a person, even with his bond to Talia, is actually preferring or preferencing something else right now. Something that's even beyond Talia. Something that when you mention Talia's name, he actually lowered his head and sinks it a little. He forgot even Talia over this whatever problem he's found, and he kind of non indifferently just lets you pet his cheek. But as you do so, you can tell that he's shaking in their touch. It takes him a lot of willpower to actually stay in this state. It takes a lot of power to actually like let you interact with him.
Layla, perhaps you should go inside. Jericho, would you lead me to whatever's bothering you, please?
Growls towards you aggressively. The moment you say that, he frantically steps forward and almost pushes you to the ground. And the moment you say that, he like instinctively. This is the first time you're feeling a dragon's natural intimidating presence. That of a young dragon, but it still's there. He pushes you off and he sends a film of fear into your spine that you are not used to. Whatever you said sends him into an aggressive state. And it's the first time, and those eyes go vile immediately and just stare towards you. He won't hurt you, but whatever you just said set him to a point where he actually seems like he might.
Jericho, there's no need for this. I just want to help you.
At this point, his tail kind of whips around, and he aggressively begins curtailing you forward towards the house, backing you up slowly, forcing you back. It's your choice whether or not you actually take steps back. But as he like takes his 2 steps forward, his wings unfurl, and you see the moment that he does, like the moment he does that, his face flinches in pain, and his wings instinctively furrow inwards again, almost immediately as he tries to unfurl them. He closes his wings, but tries to. But the intimidating presence is, at this point, neutered. Him trying to his best to show himself as strong and push you back for your own benefit hurts him as he recoils back, just begins taking steps backwards. His wing is now in the same rather dislodged position where it doesn't seem natural for it to bend that way. It doesn't seem right for it to like almost fold in only a third of the way through. And as he does so, he looks towards you with this sorrowful yet meaningful drive. He still means what he said, but understanding who he is as a dragon, he looks towards you and he just hopes he got his message across, but he also regrets having to do it.
Kayla gives him a gentle smile. I know you're just trying to protect me, but in that state, you wouldn't even be able to protect yourself. She takes a couple steps forward.
You take a couple steps forward, he growls towards you, aggressive and like not even taunting you, but beckoning you to even take a step forward. His aggressive, frightening nature shows up once again. He at this point gets into an aggressive stance where he might legitimately actually attack you. And he warns you about your steps and just stares at you with these angry, serpent like eyes.
Jericho, just please, if you go inside.
As you say that, he opens his mouth and hucks a bolt in a direction, not towards you, but into the sky that explodes, much like much like one that starts a marathon. He fires a shot into the sky and
I,
just
I can,
stares at you too.
I can help your wing.
Kayla hesitates for a moment, but she puts on a brave face. She continues that gentle smile as she takes another step, a slower step, but she continues stepping towards him.
As you kind of take those steps forward, he holds his ground, shaking to that nature. As you continue walking forward and forward, at this point, roll persuasion check.
Persuasion, you say?
Mm-hmm.
12.
Ooh, nice. As you do so, you take your steps forward, and his body slinks back slowly, but then you slowly do this trail of where he backs up, you take a couple steps forward, he backs up some more, you take a couple steps forward, and slowly but surely this dance ends as he eventually just um, kind of lets himself stop, just halts. He slings his body downwards, his entire body closes inwards, his tail wraps around himself, and he, for the first time, relaxes his wing and lets it lay down towards his body. And he's not covering anything, but as it touches his skin, there is a pain in his eyes that he tries his best to hold. He closes them and, defeated, just lays there, silent. Low grumbling can be heard.
Once Kayla gets close enough, she drops to her knees and just wraps her arms around his neck in an embrace, not
As
anything else. And then
as you
she
do
looks
so,
over at Layla and motions towards the wing.
your hands wrap around, and as you clasp onto the back of his neck, you feel a warm wetness there that causes Jericho to begin shaking once more. And as you pull your hands
I
back, there is this dark liquid in your hands, like a dried crimson. He looks towards you, just keeps his eyes closed, slight gritting to his teeth.
I bring my hands back up to his neck, but I don't wrap them around him. I just place them where there where I don't find any injuries, and just stroke him comfortingly as I again motion for Layla to approach and help him.
I do so. I kind of slowly approach, making sure that like he can see me as I do so.
He looks towards you, and even though his eyes are closed, you can tell that he knows you're there. You seem to understand that this dragon, an ancient creature as it is, seems to have some ability that allows it to actually perceive you, even with its eyes closed. You walk over, his tail slinks around. You see it takes him his best to restrain his tail's erratic like movements. There are many times where the tail actually whips and almost snags you by the leg and knocks you to the ground, but he's methodical with his tail nature. It continues lashing around, not violently, but more defensively. He hates where he is right now, but he also loves where he is right now. There's a confliction here that he doesn't know what to do with. You walk over towards his wing, and as you do so, his wing kind of closes inwards and tightens. You see it do so, and you know that he doesn't want to, but it's like a natural body reaction. It's like when you touch something hot and your body instinctively backs away. Except for this dragon, he closes in his wing. The very idea that there's any weakness to him is he has to hide it.
As he does so, Kayla brushes her cheek against his, nuzzling up with him.
As
Just
you do
let her
so,
help, please.
roll persuasion check.
10.
As you do so, he kind of at this point he lets you brush up against his face, but you can feel that this dragon has really abnormally warm skin for some reason. The very cheek of it burns you to the touch, not due to a dragon's ability, but something else. And it's strange. You thought it was just the blood, but his very body has a heated nature to it, one that saddens you.
Almost like a fever.
Indeed. And you'd even think about the way that he's been speaking to you. He's aggressive, heavily aggressive, due to some third party nature, and now you're just finding more and more different details that irritate and confuse you more every time you find one out. He growls, and as you hear him, you can tell that as he relaxes himself, even his growling and his gurgling is inhibited, almost like when a human has a sore throat. He he struggles with all his nature to actually growl or even try to speak with you. And you can only think what it took for him to actually fire a bolt of energy into the sky. Mm. By this time, Layla, you have gotten to his side. Roll a medicine check. You would have disadvantage because you cannot see anything. His wing still covers it.
Disadvantage. Disad and med. That is 10. Oh, I lost a natural 20.
As you peer inwards at this point, his wing twitches, and you can see this. It reminds you much of home, much of when you have to care for your own family. This is an individual who is trying their best to keep themselves strong, but is actually on the brink of passing out. There is a lethality here that is very, very well hidden, and it scares you. Jericho is not in a healthy state whatsoever. Jericho could die and drop at any time, but there's a strong draconic will here that keeps him standing, and it takes his entire body a large amount of composure to actually keep himself awake. Even the wing itself, you could probably ply off like paper, even though it is a dragon's wing, even though it is a dragon, you could probably pry it off with near the smallest of your ability. Even though you can't lift a pebble, you could probably lift his wing.
I kind of take my bag off and kind of start rifling through it. And I say, I have some salves here made out of herbs that will at least help a little.
As you
And
do
kind
so, you keep saying this, but at this point, Jericho has stopped growling. You listen to you're closer, Kayla, but you hear this low clicking, like his vocal cords frying in words, almost like a natural body's reaction. He's trying his best to go into a healing state. He's been defensive and in an aggressive state for so long that he is exuding and showing vulnerability for the first time and you're not sure how long. And that the moment that weakness starts showing, he can no longer growl. He can no longer actually speak. The clicking you hear is the results of his vocal cords realizing that it's time to heal, and they have shut down. His very body in itself, the shakiness, is no longer there, as his body is too weak to shake, and he sits there, his erratic tail whipping around, lashing, has stopped, and has fallen flat on the ground, having drawn several trails into the ground with its movement. His wing, the shakiness is also gone, and the heat in your hands, Kayla, vividly warm, vividly warm.
Kayla's ignoring any pain she gets from the heat as she continues to nuzzle up to him and stroke his neck gently in a comforting way. Yes, that's it. Rest now. Let us take care of you.
As you kind of do so, suddenly his throat, almost like he wants to regurgitate something. It's strange, like his body convulses to that. And for the first time, as he does so, his wings naturally unfurl outwards, and you see below that wing, Layla, a large gash, several of them hidden by his wings. There are some that are almost methodical, some that are made almost by weapons, and the wounds themselves scare you. They should have healed a long time ago, but they haven't. Something physically prevents them from closing inward, almost like the blood is prevented from clotting. It scares you. There's also bites of some larger fanged creatures, um, a mouth shape that reminds you much like the beast in front of you. That also scares you, and his wings as immediately close downwards, but your mind focused and at this hyper speed are able to notice all those details almost immediately, and his wings close inwards as his body begins to slowly convulse and just you see him hurt. Like he actually pushes you to the ground, Kayla, with like this intensity that is his body. He cannot control his body's natural reaction, but as he does so, his wings actually flap outwards and whack you to the ground, Layla. Both of you guys are now prone. The dragon, this one convulses some more and begins turning violently. His body stands up and he begins to walk away from you two. His wings just kind of periodically flapping open, his tail whipping around once more, erratic enough that you see a nearby stone get bashed in by the force of his tail. He can't control his movements, but he continues moving away from you guys and just taking a step forward. He's about 15 feet away and he goes near some trees and he walks up and starts bashing his head against a nearby tree, trying to subdue the pain by inflicting pain upon himself. And his tail just whips around, dangerous that if you were to take the wrong step, his tail would cleave you in half. What do you like to do?
um, I'm just gonna look at Kayla and just say, I don't think there's much more I can do.
Kayla's already looking at the foliage around her. She's looking for an herb that she used to use while hunting. It has a sedative uh, nature to it.
Interesting. Roll a nature check or survival check.
Fuck, I should have gone survival. That's a 11 on the nature.
You look around, and the direct vicinity does not have these plants. You're you're in a part of the forest where it cannot grow. You're looking for a place that has almost like a cave-like element to it. This plant in itself is hidden more in like places that have a lot of shade. This area is plainly in the sun, and you know just by that nature it's impossible to find that plant here. It'd be much more reasonable to find a place that has a more dark nature to it. And but right now you don't know the anatomy of this forest. You don't know the geography of it, not to the extent that you would like, and you're not exactly sure where you would find a herb with enough ability or power to sedate or heal him. But he's in a place where there's a self-destructive nature to him. He noticed himself getting vulnerable and weak, and that immediately sent him to a feral state, almost like an animal backed into a corner. He noticed that he would had his life dripping away from him, and that once that adrenaline was dying, he felt weak. And by bashing his head against the floor, the trees, he's actually reinstilling that adrenaline into his body, forcing it to be there. But as a result, actually possibly breaking pieces of his skull. As a result, what do you like to do?
Kayla turns to Layla and asks if she knows of any nearby caves.
Caves? I was told there was one somewhat nearby that had some mushrooms of a sort in it. It was at the base of a tall cliff. I could maybe get us there. I've never actually been, but I was told that it's here.
Kayla pulls out the rusty shave and hands it to her. She describes the herb she's looking for and says, and tells Layla, bring me as much as you can if you find it there, but please be careful.
Do you,
And then she turns towards Jericho and slowly starts approaching. She's still carrying that gentle smile from earlier.
mm, all right. You hear that gentle smile, but even you are afraid for your own life right now. You are about
That's why I
10
said
feet.
slowly.
Yeah, you're about 10 feet away from the flail that is his tail, just whipping around, destroying nearby trees and stones that if that was to contact you, Jericho would regrettably annihilate you almost completely. You need to find some way that's actually safe to approach this beast. There is definite danger here that if you're not careful, you will suffer some casualty. Meanwhile,
Kayla
Leia,
stops just outside the reach of his tail and calls out to him gently, Jericho, I know you have this pride that you have to always be strong, but you don't have to show that with us. We care
roll,
about you and we want to help you. Please let us.
roll persuasion check.
18.
Hell yeah. As you do so, his body whippily flaps around, and as you say that, his tail just grazes over your head, and pieces of your hair just kind of flickers into the sky as it does so. His tail like barely misses you, and then after a repeated more whipping around, he takes his tail, brings it into the sky like an overhead swing, and slams it into the ground, and he pins it to the ground, shake, shaking once more. You see him using that adrenaline that he just stocked up to keep himself still, to stop his tail, and to stop his erratic movements to the best of his ability. But you see that this restraint has a huge toll on his body, that this in itself is telling that if he has forced his body into an hyper overdrive, where while the body was trying to heal, he once again tore out that system of healing and forced it to once again go into a state that doesn't allow it to mend itself. And at this point, his body kind of closes in, and there's a regret to his body. He knows his weakness, and he knows that he is at death's door right now.
I kind of gulp seeing this, and I'm just gonna whisper to Kayla and just say, Raphael is inside if you need him. And I'm just gonna white knuckle the rusty shave, and I'm just gonna go off into the woods.
You just want.
That is my all-time favorite weapon so far, by the way.
The rusty shave. How much damage does it do?
1d4 plus 2.
Honestly,
well, how much? What does it do?
Oh, it's just a rusty
1d4.
sword. That's all it is.
But is it a finesse weapon?
Probably.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's only a -1 then. Hell yeah.
As you're carrying it, white knuckling it, and just bolting into the forestry, you continue running forward and forward, and as you do so, there's a part of you that is scared. You've saw the cliff before. You've seen the drop that it entails, and you know your physical ability. You know that as the person you are you willing to scale down a mountain? Are you willing to do it? Because that drop will always be at the back of your mind. You know your ability. That's just you as a person. But a part of you, almost in a helpless manner,
While you
knows
guys are
that,
doing this part, I'm gonna go grab some food.
yeah, as you do so, you at this point continue rushing through into the distance when suddenly you hear a large tree falls down in distance about 15 feet to the right of you. It crashes to the ground. And as you do so, you hear in the distance.
I just
15
start
feet away
whispering
from
to
you.
myself, it's not monkeys, it's not monkeys, it's not monkeys, it's fine, everything's fine.
And as you do so, you continue running, you keep running, you just hear, smell some living flesh around here. And as it growls, you feel the presence of some individual just nearby, 15 feet away. Smell you. Something that doesn't know how to survive. Something that's, so poor, so weak. Where are you? Your aura's so little I can't even smell you correctly. What is this weakness I smell?
I'm just kind of take a deep breath, and I'm gonna try to move a little quieter.
No stealth check.
Stealth. Lol. That's funny. That's dexterity. I don't have that. Alrighty. Where are we? Stealth. 8.
As you do so, at this point, you continue walking, and as you kind of slow your step, you look around and you want to make sure not to take any steps at this point. But then you at this point, here nearby, the footsteps growing closer, about 15 feet away from you. Oh, I smell the weakness in this direction. I don't see you, but I'ma cut you up piece by piece, whatever you are, like I did that dragon.
I'm just gonna kind of look around. Do I know how close I am to where the cliff is?
Roll a survival check. You have advantage because you have seen it once.
I saw it twice. I got mugged by monkeys. Survival. 20.
Wow, you know the exact path. It is not a close stroll. Like, not in the retrospect that there is someone near you. It is about 15 minutes away. If you are in a continuous sprint, you would get there in about 15 minutes.
but in this current state, sprinting is not one of your options. Or perception check.
Perception. God, being not wise sucks. 14.
As you do so, you peer around, and you at this point hear as something in the distance flies forward. You instinctively back behind a tree as this whiffing metal just arcs past you and chops down 4 different trees that get cut down your distance, and this spinning blade stops and stabs into a nearby tree, and it has a strange circular handle that allows the user to spin it in their hand in their like at will, and it just stops in that tree, stabbing it in half. You see that the material of the weapon itself is arcanic and has a vile yet methodical design, and all those 4 trees in unison fall around you, and as it do so, you hear the footsteps grow ever closer. About at this point, 7 feet behind the tree you're hiding, and you hear in the distance next to you, "Hey, hey, 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 you, come here." As you look over towards your right, you see this individual, this small girl. She's about the same age as Talia. She looks towards you. "Come on, just don't make a noise. Come here." She's in a brown coat, a brown fur coat, and she's just telling you and waving towards you to come here.
I kind of look back and forth, and seeing that I don't really have much other option, I will go over and follow.
Yeah, you at this point, roll me a stealth check.
Oh,
Or
oh
how would you like to
no.
get over there? Because she's trying to get you to go over to where she is, but you know that this individual, if he classes a glimpse of you, might just slice you in half. How do you want to do this?
Let's see. Can I? Let's see. Can I climb up a tree nearby, or are there? I assume there's trees.
Yes, but you're currently behind a tree, and it's just one tree in this middle. The girl's about 5, 10 feet away from you, and there's a little distance there because you're in a soft clearing. It's not exactly clear, but there's no bushes around that you could hide in. It's just a tree and the individual stalking behind you.
I'm just gonna kind of take a deep breath. I'm gonna pull out of my bag. What do I have? I have a basket of berries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pull a handful of berries out, and I'm gonna throw them in the direction away from where I'm gonna be going.
All right. At this point, you take the berries and you toss them away, and they just kind of drop onto the ground. You hear, there you are, weakling. At this point, you hear a sheathing of metal as he apparently unsheaths a weapon of some sort, and you hear the wind pick up as you hear spinning closer and closer. As you toss it away from you, you begin crusting on the outline of the tree, just backing up against it and slowly turning so that you can escape the moment he steps past this tree. And you see for a moment his figure, this large individual that shows his chest almost confidently. It has a fur jacket, and his hair is it's stabbed upward, extremely jagged. He has a large red mark over his eye, and he's a large, lumbering person, extremely burly. Imagine about 7 foot, and he has a domineering position. He has in his hands a large spinning metallic axe that is about half his height, that when spun is a large circular, almost like a windmill or like a propeller that spins in his hand. He walks past you and he just walks towards the berries. And as you walk past, you smell this crimson metallic liquid of blood on his body. It's everywhere. Yet you don't see it, but you smell it. You crust around at this point, and he takes a couple of steps forward. And at this point, the girl just kind of keeps beckoning towards you and just waves towards you.
I'm gonna move as quietly as I can towards her.
Roll a stealth check with advantage.
Oh, this is still bad. to Iltharino. No, that wasn't with advantage. 16.
Alright, you crest your way around and you make sure to avoid any steps and avoid any twigs like a fucking movie horror protagonist. You crest over and you see the little girl, the girl that's about to age it later, tell you to pull over, and you kind of take your steps over. You slink over as the man kind of comes over. Where are Stop hiding. This game isn't fun. Just stop hiding. Let me cut you up. I want to see what your liver looks like. As he laughs, he swings that propeller axe and cuts down a nearby tree. He walks over and begins heading the distance away from you and towards his other weapon, stabbed and sheathed into a tree. You run towards the other girl, and at this point she looks at you. Okay, I'm gonna be quick. I'm not your friend. You don't have to think of me like that, but just here. And she just point gives you like a glove and just takes off one of her own and just hands it to you. Just take it. It'll help you, but just don't ask any questions. You don't have enough time. Take it.
I take it and put it on and just say thank you.
You take the glove, and as you do so, the glove almost fits to your size. Her hand slightly smaller than yours. They arm around you, and their gloves have this pink, dark blue body, and it's a fingerless glove. At the back of it has this strange glyph that you've never seen before, and at the top of each of your fingers, like near the knuckles of like the middle knuckle, there's a slight silver ring like design there that intrigues you. And as you put it on, the ring it arcs from the runes all the way up to your 5 fingers, and your finger has a slight glow to it, and she kind of pushes you in the distance. Just go, go! And she kind of pushes you, and then she steps out. Hey, Agor, what are you doing? Ah, ah, was that fucking weakness I was detecting you? It's Agor. It's not safe to cause this much noise. The fuck do you care? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I do what the fuck I feel like. Agor, we talked about this. Just don't cause too much disturbance. Ah, shut the fuck up, Abigail. Let me do my fucking thing. I won't hesitate to kill you. She slinks inwards. Just okay. Yeah. Just okay. Agor, we should head back. Head back to camp. Abigail, the fuck is your other glove?
I'm slinking away at this point.
You've been slinking away? I don't. Abigail, you know you're not supposed to lose that. I know the chieftain gave that to you, Abigail. Who did you give it to? I didn't give it to anyone. Abigail, you don't just, I don't know, lose a glove. You don't just let someone just, I don't know, take it from you. You don't just take it off and leave it somewhere. That's not how they work, Abigail. Just, Agor, please back away from me. I don't give a shit. Abigail, I do what I want. And at this point, you back away, and the sounds in the distance die away from you at this point. You don't hear the propeller. You don't hear the weapon. There's no scream. There's only silence. Only silence. And as you continue heading off in distance, you run. You just run. And continue taking your steps. Back towards you, Layla. What are you doing?
I was I running back to the house, or?
No, you're running towards the cliff.
Okay. And I'm gonna...
You continue running forward at this point, step by step. As you're running past, your feet fucking burn towards you, and you think about Talia and the amount of times she scoffed and mocked you for your athleticism, and it's only now that you realize, fuck, She was kind of right. You still run out of breath, even though you know you're on a timetable, even though that thing is out there, even though you know someone just potentially gave up something for you, and you just continue running forward and forward and forward, and your legs fucking burn. You still have to stop and place your hands towards a tree and get grasp your breath, but you keep walking. Your side actually, you get that side stitch feel from not doing much running or athleticism that extremely hampers your ability to run, but you just keep going and keep fucking running. As you do so,
Yeah, if
heading back
Kayla were
towards.
just a little bit smarter, she would have gone herself.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would probably do that instead, but you just made the least athletic one do that. Fucking love it. Back,
Whew, my heart's racing.
Mine
back towards,
too.
back towards you, Kayla. Jericho slams his tail into the ground, and he's trembling, trembling, and you know that you actually are stuck in a trap where you lose either way, where you want to calm him down so he doesn't do anything rash, but if he calms down, the adrenaline will kill him from shock. Like, if that recedes, the only thing holding his body together, that aimless will of chemicals within this dragon, will subside and it will kill him. And even though you want to calm him down and you want to be there for him, being there for him might kill him. What did you like to do?
Kayla reaches her right arm out. She hasn't taken any steps forward from where she was. She just
Mm-hmm.
reaches her right hand out and then pulls it back to her chest.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just calls out to him again. I'm
What
not
do you call out?
going to ask you to rest, to sleep. I know it will happen if you do. But please, don't hurt yourself more. Do what you need to do to stay alive. But it's pointless if you kill yourself trying.
He hears this, and his ears now turn towards you, and his body still twitching and itching. There's a silence that instills around you. When suddenly he just looks towards you, these angry eyes that dilate from friendly Jericho to angry, death store driven, cornered animal Jericho. They dilate in between so quickly and so fastly that it's like you're watching a movie film play before you, frame by frame. He takes a couple steps forward and he scoops up a rock in his jaw and just begins chewing it, just to hamper himself, to prevent himself from feeling that pain. And he picks up that large boulder stone that could fit in his mouth and he wedges it in there. You see one of his tooths actually chip from the strength of his own bite, and it clatters onto the ground. And he at this point just holds that stone in his mouth, and he just curls up into like a cat and just folds himself inwards and covers himself with the wing, shivering. You can tell that the fever at this point is intensifying, and you can also tell that the breezing wind picking up from earlier is not helping to the slightest. And even to add more salt to the burden, you hear in the distance as rain clouds begin to come closer. What would you like to do? What would you like to do indeed, Astra?
Kayla Kayla looks around her. There are tears streaming down her face as she's more concerned about the well-being of another than she's ever been in her life. She's fearful for Layla having sent her out on her own, but also concerned for the well-being of the dragon in front of her. She looks up at the sky, knows that she needs to find something to cover Jericho to protect him from the elements. She runs back into the house. Doesn't even try to go in quietly, slams the door open, runs through looking for anything she could find, a blanket, a comforter, anything large enough to cover and protect Jericho from the weather.
As you just rush inside at this point, the noise wakes up the four different people. Altair the tiefling looks up towards you. What the fuck is happening? You look up once more. You see that Tex kind of wakes up. What is going on? From the bed, and you see him in his morning glory, and you see Raphael look towards you. I didn't get enough sleep. Please don't wake me, honey. You look around, and the only thing of relative covering is the blanket that Tex has tossed onto the ground. But that blanket, fit for a human, is not large enough for this beast. And if anything, you might want to string together maybe different fabrics, different tablecloths, different pieces of handkerchiefs that you just take whatever you can and just pile it on. But even this house, it's rather barren, and it's for the first time in forever that you kind of wish you actually were at home so that you could go in the fucking closet and pick up different pieces of blankets and covering and towels and have something. But in the state where you're quite literally in the middle of nowhere with nothing to actually graze you, you have nothing but the forest and your own wits to actually help you at this point. What would you like to do? The other three look towards you with a shocked expression. What's going on? Is it breakfast already? Did I burn down the house again?
Kayla just in her, is panic the right word? I guess we'll go with panic. In her panic state, Kayla just repeats Jericho needs help over and over again as she's
What do you
grabbing
mean
every
Jericho needs help?
sheet, every every any bit of cloth she can find. And when
And
Raphael asks that question, she just points outside at Jericho. She runs back out once she's gathered enough that she could use it as covering. And then she looks for any vines and tall sticks, twigs, whatever she could do. She's not gonna lay the stuff on top of him. What she wants to do is make a little shelter
mm,
with a wall of fabric on one side to protect him from the wind and a covering of fabric to protect him from the rain.
mm-hmm. So as you do so, right before you leave, Tex wakes up. Oh, come on, baby. What can I do to help you? Come on, talk to me. Why are you so riled up in the morning? As he walks up fucking nude.
If you really want to help, get some vines, get some twigs. I don't care.
Uh,
Just
uh, baby, that's not exactly the hottest thing, you know. You have me, but vines?
Kinky.
She looks
she
towards you with this questioning demeanor.
she just ignores the question as she continues gathering what she needs to make the shelter for Jericho.
You do so. You bolt outside, and slowly but surely, the three individuals walk outside at this point. And slowly but surely, you see Tex, Raphael, and Altair look towards you with this strange demeanor. They see the dragon, and instinctively, Tex kind of runs up to kind of look. What's happening? I'm confused. Raphael's just in the background, silent. Altair just kind of mellows in the background, but Altair immediately just disappears into the distance, and just disappears. Like he sees what he has to do almost immediately, and doesn't question what he has to do. He sees the task and just goes. Tex runs up and asks you, what's going on? I thought this was a joke.
Uh, Kayla very quickly, very violently swings her head around and glares at him. Again, tears still streaming from her eyes. Jericho is dying and he needs our help. Get the
I,
fucking shit
I,
I need.
I, I, you, just, I, hold on. And at this point, Texas kind of bolts off in the distance and looks for nearby vines and stuff, which there are none in the vicinity. But Texas chooses a direction, just runs. Raphael takes a step forward. What's happening? Why is He kind of looks at this. Jericho, why are you hurt? Jericho just growls weakly, and Raphael just kind of hears this. I. She looks towards Kayla in confusion. Just stares, and he's speechless. For the first time, Raphael is just completely speechless.
As Kayla's tying together fabrics and she's taking the palm leaf, the fronds from the palm trees, and adding a layer on top of them to like collect and redirect rainwater because she knows it'll just seep through the fabric.
Mm-hmm. Roll a
So
d20 and add your dex mod and your int mod to it.
so slash r 1d20 plus 1 plus 1.
God damn it.
2. It
As
was
you
a
do so,
natural 1.
you collect the different palm leaves, and as you do so, your frantic nature, your uncomposed nature, for the first time in forever, snaps the leaves, and you curse yourself. You curse that your hands aren't following your directions, and you just continue going. You keep trying to build some kind of thing that redirects rainwater, but every time it just snaps over and over again. And the question, the thought doesn't even graze your mind that maybe these just don't work. Maybe what you're trying to do just doesn't work, but you just keep trying relentlessly, relentlessly.
Occasionally, after one of them breaks, she just punches the ground and keeps trying. Every time one of them breaks, she punches the ground again. Her hands are starting to get bloody from all the frustration.
And as they get bloody, you look up to the sky once more, and almost like God itself is torturing you. You hear, as in the distance, rain begins to cry downward. The camera swivels over, and Layla, you continue biting the distance. This one, you hear the thundering echoes of the stormy weather. You hear it bellowing outwards, and you can just only curse because, as the motherly person you are, you know what that entails, and you know Jericho's outside, and you know what happens if you expose a person to a fever to the elements. So you run faster. Roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Can't save. That's my specialty, you fool. Constitution, definitely this one's specialty.
Oh God,
That's about right.
what have we got?
At least it wasn't a natural 1.
A 5.
At this point, your body at this point begins to slowly cave inwards. You have run a marathon in your perspective. And at this point, you actually slowly but surely have to slow down and grab onto your gut that pulses inward and stabs you like a sword, twisting in your gut, twisting in your kidney. You have to stop, and that pisses you off more than anything. Your legs are trembling, and the wind that picks up and kicks around the forest is not helping you whatsoever. You look around you, and you try to just keep walking forward, but you are about a literal minute away from the side of the cliff, and you've barely even started climbing down. You don't even know what's in front of you, and you're a minute away, but your body is at its limit, and if you force it any more, you will suffer casualties. And on that note, you feel your dinner from yesterday actually convulse up your body, almost like it wants to come out with the extent that you pushed yourself.
I
What
mean,
would you
I'm
like to
gonna.
do? You look
I'm
towards the
gonna.
glove on your right hand, not knowing what it does.
Can I like scratch it? Is it like Velcro or is it just like a fingerless glove?
It's it's like a fingerless glove with that palm base. You're not sure what it means, but there's a innate arcane nature to it that you don't understand.
I'm just gonna kind of look at it and just get to the side of the cliff, and I'm just
try.
gonna rub my
Con-save.
hands together. Huh?
You can try. Con save.
I can't even walk? What the fuck?
Your body sucks.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear.
Please tell me. Above 10, please. Above 10. Above 10.
Four.
It's above 1.
Oh, god damn it. You just collapse onto the ground at this point, your knee pulsing from the pain as you grab onto the floor, your gut piercing and hurting you at this point. And as you try to force yourself some more, you actually look to the distance and a stream comes out of your mouth that you probably needed. Calories that exit your body and exude onto the other side. And you grab onto the ground once more and you hear your right hand. I'm not sure what that means, but the symbol on your right hand glows, and there's an energy in it to it that you don't understand, but it's telling you to unleash something that you're not sure what it means, but there's something there. Something.
I'm just gonna rub my hands together and just see what happens.
You rub your hands together, and as you do so, you rub them together, and then your right hand glows, and as you take it out, this string, this almost arcane string, appears from your palm to palm. It's not electric in its nature, but it's its conjuring that sounds electric. And this string is extremely tight, and it binds your two hands together almost immediately. And the strength of the string is insane. Like it's like spider silk, but far stronger. It, there's no you can't really feel it, and once as you're pulling that string outwards more and more, you notice that it has insane textile strength, and the ability itself might be able to bind and hold colossal creatures together and bind them to your whim. I'm not sure what this means as you have this string connecting your two palms together.
I don't even know what to do.
Give me a concentration check.
Conk, save. 16.
As you do so, you will your hand to stop, and that string retracts into the palm of your right hand, and that energy that was released can actually be fired.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
I have no idea what it's gonna do. What the fuck?
Welcome to real life.
I'm just gonna try and
Break another timeline. Break another timeline.
No!
I'm
No!
just gonna try. How close am I to the edge of the cliff?
You don't see the edge of the cliff. There's still about 3 trees in the distance that almost strategically block your view.
I'm just gonna start crawling.
You
We know
start
how
crawling.
those trees love that strategy.
As you keep crawling at this point, every time your right hand touches the ground, that string sticks into it, and then you pull it up, and almost like you're touching something sticky, it just pulls upwards and it just retracts your hand to the ground. It pulls it straight into the ground. It has the ability to pull and retract things. Almost like, imagine a grappling hook or something that pulls you towards other things.
Get over here!
Hell yes!
As I kind of figure this out, I'm going to try to take the glove and I'm gonna try to pull myself to the nearest, or the tree that looks closest to the cliff.
Roll
I'm
to
a
hit
Spider-Man
using
it.
your oh yeah, roll to hit adding your intelligence modifier.
Hey, that's my only modifier.
God.
Am I proficient or no?
No, you haven't gotten this glove before.
Natural 20.
What?
Damn.
This man! This man!
Am I
Alright,
proficient? Not like it matters.
As if it was relevant.
Alright, in this element, you bring your hand up, and that energy fires out over there, and then it just latches onto the tree, and you pull yourself up to it, and almost with insane accuracy, this glove almost curtailed to help you like climb and just proceed up cliffs and large, difficult terrains, pulls you towards and latches you to it almost immediately. The rest of your body is limp, but that hand with your right hand on it, that glove on your right hand, still has energy. And right now you gaze upon, and what perception check at this point?
Perception. Don't worry, I'll fuck that one up. That's an 8.
As you peer around, you can actually see, partially bending out the crest of the tree, that you do see downwards the bottom of the cliff, and you have finally arrived here. And looking down at this glove, it might be able to just bring you down. You might not shatter your skull upon exiting on impact. What would you like to do? The cliffside has large rock spires, and you see the cave in the far, far distance. You don't know the reach of this weapon. You don't know the reach of it at all. You have not used it enough to actually estimate its power. But
I'm gonna put my hand on the edge of the cliff at the top, and I'm gonna try to activate it and attach it to the top, and then I'm gonna take a deep breath, and I'm just gonna say, You're not scared of heights. You're not scared of heights. You've been far higher than this. You've been on a dragon. Why are you worried about a little drop like this? And I'm gonna hope that it is attached to the top of the cliff, and I'm gonna start to rappel down.
Alright, you snap your hand on top of it, and then the energy pulses into the ground. And then as you do so, you start leaning down the cliff. How do you want to do this?
My eyes are closed.
Oh, you're just dangling straight down?
I'm gonna try and rappel, but eventually just end up hanging from my one arm, basically just saying, "Please don't die, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die."
Roll a strength saving throw.
Hell yeah, I'd love to see it. That's a 9.
As you jump downwards at this point, your arm pulses. It's stretched. There's a cramp there. And it's like, you have never tried rappelling down a mountain before. It is not in your skill set, and you've overjumped far too much. Far too much. And as you have closed your eyes, you don't even know what you're stepping on, but think miraculously, your arm is not pulled off. You stomp onto the ground, and you don't know how far you are because your eyes are closed. But you feel the string is at its end's length, and you don't know what else to do from here. Like you've managed to get down, and your arm still works. Like you didn't hinge your shoulder or anything, but if you do it too much, you just might.
You should probably open your eyes.
Yeah, you should probably. Robert's a rock climber, which is the funniest part.
I know.
That's why it's so fun. I'm gonna open one eye and just see how far from the ground I am.
You can see that the string has roughly about 30 feet of string to it.
How tall's the cliff?
The cliff is about
31 feet.
The cliff is about 70 feet downwards.
Oh,
So you got
good
40
God.
feet down left to extend. Please don't drop. Please don't drop. You look around, you see a spire about 20 feet away from you that you could theoretically latch down to, but if you pull yourself to the top, you might just stab and pike yourself on there, so please don't do that. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna just look around and say, "Oh, I wish I had another glove that could do this." And I'm gonna try and hold on, and then I'm gonna get in as comfortable a position as I can, disengage the glove, and just immediately slap the wall in front of me.
Ooh, roll dexterity check. This is a
Dexterity.
simple score, but as long as you don't natural one, you're fine.
11.
Great.
Nice.
As you just the neck, you kind of, and then you slap the wall, and then once again the string straight down, and as you kind of at this point get down, you get down to 60 feet and roll me another Constitution saving throw.
13.
Oh, nice. As you do so, you get to the bottom, you hear a pop in your shoulder, and you're like, fuck, I needed that. And but it still works. You can feel your hands. You can feel them. That's a good sign. But you're not sure what's the damage. It doesn't matter. You're handling. There's only a 10 feet drop at this point. There's only a 10 feet drop. You can see the floor. It's fine.
Ugh. Ugh. I'm gonna just try to do. Can I control the speed of which I'm descending at all, or is that way outside of my skill set?
You haven't tried.
Oh God. I'm gonna try to like do the same maneuver, but this time like go slowly, so I'm not just free falling.
Roll Arcana check.
Arcana, lol. You think I can do that? That's funny.
We'll see.
Oh wait, I'm intelligent. 21.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, what? What is this man?
He's fucking
grab
big brain, apparently.
You grab onto the thing, and your arm that is numb, and you're losing blood and feeling into. You vaguely like are able to twine your fingers, and as you do so, you change the string from the palm of your hand to actually connecting off the 5 fingertips. And as you connect these 5 fingertips, you descend, and all 5 of these strings allow you to slowly like elevate yourself down. And you're looking at this, and you're like, it can do that. It can do that. As
This
you
isn't that bad.
slowly lower yourself to the ground, your feet grasp onto it, and your body is shocked that you survived. And you see those 5 interconnected strings at your 5 fingertips, and you just stare at this item, the glowing string retracting from it.
Oh wow, I feel like I have been given a great gift. Oh, okay. What was I doing here? Something. The cave. Ooh, okay. All right, I'm gonna go and try and go to the cave.
You just flick off the strings, these attracts right to your hands again. And you turn around, and you start looking over towards the cave. Surprisingly, the end actually seems within near. Amazing. The camera swivels back, and the clouds at this point arc into the distance. And Kayla, you're standing here, and you feel the winds picking up. Of the wind screaming towards you, growing larger and larger. You hear the leaves crackling and spinning as the wind torrents through them. You are not on a good timetable. What do you like to do? Raphael looks towards you. I only know how to fish. What can I help to? What can I do?
Caleb punches the ground again and points off in the direction that Tex went. Go get that stupid man who was supposed to bring me the stuff I need. I need twigs. I need vines. I need whatever I can do to build a goddamn shelter for him.
Okay.
She is bawling at this point.
Okay, at this point, okay, we're going. At this point, he runs in the distance. Old man can't run! And, he runs in the distance, and he disappears from sight. And eventually, at this point, Altair's the first one that arrives. He runs past, and he says, there you go. This is what I found. And he puts down his bottle of, like, this mash and a bunch of twigs and leaves that are actually surprisingly, like, helpful. There's the mash and the mush of ground that can be used to tighten things together, and It's wet, and it seems to have been he seems to have actually dug into the ground where there was a water body and found like mud that allows you to actually compact things together. And he gives you twigs and twines and vines, and he stands up. I will get more, and I will be back in a bit. At this
K-
point, he
Kayla gives him a weak smile and a nod as she just starts getting to work at building up the frame of the shelter.
as he sees your smile, he says, This is no time to smile. Smile when you've saved him." And he runs off in the distance, just disappears. And then you stay there, you begin trying to mash things together, and with the help of the mud, roll me another one of those checks. You have advantage now.
Oh, what was the check the last time?
It's my custom tinkering
Oh,
check.
right. I'm gonna do perception because I don't have an intelligence mod, so it doesn't matter. Oh wait,
Cool.
no, that was gonna be sleight of hand because it was Dex plus intelligence, right?
Cool.
Yeah. 20.
Oh, oh, yeah. With that help, you manage to finally start actually making some progress. You take the different leaves and the different pieces and then you start sticking together, just piece by piece. Occasionally, don't they fall off, but you don't care. You keep going. You find more leaves, stick them together, and find more leaves, use more mud, stick them together. At this point, first first round, Tex runs back with these strange vines that are haphazardly cut. Yeah, I got you some vines. What do you, vines? And he just drops it on the ground in front of you.
Are they worth even using?
Uh, Roll an investigation check.
Would that be investigation or survival?
Either or, because I can justify both.
17.
You look towards them and you're able to see that even this is haphazardly done. Um, there is something of resource here. Like it can be used, and that's the only part that matters. Like they're not as efficient as you would like them to be, but you can use them.
I grab a few of the good ones, show them to him, and just say, "Get me more of these," as I
Okay,
start
yeah.
using them to tie up and secure the corners of the shelter.
You do so, and you start working again. Roll me another one of those tinkering checks. You have advantage. You go on at this point, and Tex runs off. You hear the chink of his armor that as he disappears. As you do so, you continue building the shelter slowly, one by one, one by one. By this point, the rain begins just like storming downwards and pelting the ground, and it is so close, and you hear the light drizzle actually start tapping you on the forehead, and every time it taps Jericho, at this point, as he does so, his mouth kind of turns away from you, and he starts firing off these like small little bolts that exploded to the ground, and his jaw begins to just like arc around, and as he does so, he spits onto the ground, and this lob of blood just smacks on the ground.
Kayla stops working on the shelter for now. She grabs what she's done so far with the fabric and approaches him and just says as gently as she can, as gently as she can muster with her state of mind. "This is gonna hurt for just a moment, but please, just bear with it until I'm done." And she covers him with the fabric and the leaves and everything else, just so that while she finishes the shelter, he's not exposed.
hmm You cover him slowly with different pieces of fabric, and as he does so, look towards his body, and after you say those warming words, his body that was normally shaking is just still, slight breathing, slight breathing, slowed, slowed almost to a fortnight, dream slow. You just think that adrenaline is fading, he is running out of time, and you begin working on the shelter, continuing, At this point, the
She
candle.
she mutters to herself, Layla, please hurry.
At this point, you swivel back. Layla, you at this point walk forward, and your legs are able to walk again after that harsh descent, after that rush of hope. You have some move in you again. As you walk forward, you at this point look around, and there's this large cave in distance, and you can almost hear a soft humming in distance. And as you look towards it, you hear that you're in a state that you will be able to get there at some point. And you hear, smell some weakness around here. At the top of the cliff. And I know exactly where it is. And by that notion, you immediately hide behind a spire. You pop up against it. Where are you? Oh, Abigail wasn't enough for me. Where are you? I can smell it. Hope? Hope? Oh, you think you're gonna survive and get through this? But show your face once, you small little rat. I'll cut you up and shave you piece from piece. He's standing on the top of the cliff, and though you don't see him, you know that if he sees you even once, he will carve you in half. You are 60 feet away from the cave entrance.
I just look around. Can I see anything that I could use as cover?
So, looking around, you see like different rock piles. You see relative spires that you can use, but they're too jagged to form immediate cover. So, unless you bend yourself in a way or fire really strategically, you can't hide behind these covers. And the only hard part is that he has a bird's eye view of everything. So, if from his perspective, he can see most behind everything. You have small rocks in distance that can help, and there are pebbles at your feet, but you need to be really strategic about this. There is different rocks that you can hide behind, and there is a dip in the distance about 40 feet away from you that is low enough that he cannot see behind it. So if you get behind here, you're clean. Like you're clean, but you
How
have to
far is
actually.
that? 40
It's
feet?
it's about 40 feet away from you. There
Yeah.
are several rocks in front of you that are about the size of a medium creature, and like they vary in sizes, but they're also jagged. You don't want to be too close to them, otherwise they will pierce your body. And you're not sure, but this guy has a rabidness to him that, honestly, if you bleed, he might be able to smell it.
This ain't looking good. Doesn't look good, Chief.
Kayla should have gone.
You think? You think? Can I just like? It's basically just that one thing. There's that one place I can go.
There's that little
Right.
dip, and that's about it. Other than that, it's just a clearing. There's no immediate cover unless you find a way to. It's all about angles. So if you find a way to actually flop behind rocks, like if you get to the ground level and are able to crawl behind them, he won't be able to see you from that perspective. But crawling, do you really have time to do that? We'll see. How do you want to do this?
So I only really need to get 10 feet.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna get down on my stomach, and I'm gonna. I assume it's kind of like raining, right?
Mm-hmm. It is raining now. The clouds haven't reached you yet, but they're about to.
But is it currently wet?
You
That
hear
is the question.
you hear that currently no. Currently no.
Fuck. Can I bend down and just put my hand on the ground? Is the ground wet?
It's if you wait about 5 minutes, it will be.
No, I don't got time for that. Fucking hell.
Yeah, fucking nature.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna do the same thing. It's just not gonna be as good. I'm gonna get on the ground and I'm gonna like roll around to try and like disguise myself to be more ground-like.
Alright. You do so, and you kind of begin popping yourself up with the soil, and as you do so, you hear around you, and then you hear, "Oh, I smell smaller life. Maybe it was actually a rat." And you see like this hole near you, underneath the rock you're hiding behind, that seems to have small little rats that
Where's
chirp towards
Jonathan
you.
when you need him?
Yeah, for real.
You see these like small little rats that just stare towards you. They're scared of something. You believe you share a common interest in. They're stuck in that hole, and the hole doesn't burrow inward as much. It was more like an immediate shelter that they made. And they are, you could actually physically grab them. Whatever that does to help you.
Oh, of all the people to give that option to, why Layla?
I know.
Kayla wouldn't have hesitated.
Goodness. She's gonna reach in and try and grab a rat.
Go and then roll me a grapple check. You have advantage. You have size advantage, and you don't have much space to run.
Grapple. At advantage. Juicy -2. That's a 15.
Wow. Let me just roll that on my app real quick. Maybe I'll natural 20 and dick you over.
Please no.
Oh no! I rolled a natural 19.
Oh.
As they do so, you kind of grab in the rats. Two of them run out, and like the two rats run away, and you hear the axes and just slam on top, and he misses the first rat. Ah! I'll take it down and get that axe. Got a second one though. Twice the charm. You see his axe is actually so fucking large that you could actually hide behind it. Is the funny thing.
Was I
The last rat,
Did I catch the third rat?
the last rat in there is immobile. That last rat is almost disabled. Has almost like a broken leg, and
Oh.
it's a dying rat.
Can I grab it?
With ease. There is no check required.
I feel filthy.
You love it, Robert.
No, I really don't. I'm gonna take it. And I'm gonna grab it in my hands, and I'm just gonna look up at the cliff, and I'm just gonna pull out the rusty shave,
Oh.
and I'm just gonna close my eyes and just like try to like cut the rat's head off, but like totally not do a good job.
Layla.
Roll me a survival check at disadvantage.
I'm like looking away in case anything squirts. Like it's bad.
He
It's
attempts to
bad.
do a bad job, and because he gets a nat 1, accidentally does a fantastic job.
Well, I just whiffed another nat 20. That's a 13.
What? What?
I just whiffed another nat 20.
God damn it, Robert.
Because
As you do so,
dickhead.
as you kind of cut into, you hear and silence, and you hear, "Oh, smell death. Oh, oh," and you hear him actually drop to his knees.
And I'm just gonna like look down at my hands and just like someone like who sees like a snake or a spider is gonna just like just like throw it away from me and just see what happens.
You kind of tossing it around. He just looks at it. Oh, look at it. Look at it. It doesn't have a head. And he goes into a delirious state of laughter. is he sheaves his axe into the ground, and he's on the ground laughing hysterically. He's no longer looking above the ground.
We're going for it, Chief. Run the 10 feet and then Spider-Man.
And at this point, you and pull yourself to the ground. You climb onto the ground, and you see the cave's entrance once more. And as you run inwards, the humming, the oh, goes louder and louder. As you take your steps forward, you run down, and your footsteps grows more silent and more silent. And the darkness of the cave pisses you off that you have to run even more at the end. You speed it up by pulling yourself forward, and after getting in there, you get to the final place. This last place actually has some tranquility to it. You see, there's a soft decline about 10 feet. Then there's a surrounding lake trench and a forest of these golden bushes with resonating leaves, delicious berries, mushrooms. It's a fucking paradise garden in here. And as a herbalist, and as someone who gathers this stuff, it brings a tear to your eye.
God. My stomach hurts from doing that. Damn. I've cut up a lot of rats in my IRL life. Ugh. That just felt filthy. I'm gonna
Are
Imagine
you a dirty
how-
boy, Robert?
Imagine how I feel for have putting innocent Layla into that position in the first place.
I'm gonna
God damn, Kayla could have speedrun this.
I'm
For
gonna
real.
look down at my hands. One hand is still kind of white knuckling the knife. I'm just gonna look down at like the blood that's like splattered up my forearms. The other hand is like I like look at it and I open it. I haven't really been paying attention, and there's still kind of the rat head in my hand. I kind of just drop it on the ground, and it kind of just like splats on the ground next to me.
See,
Just kind of like
Kayla's
look
only
around.
slightly out of her element right now.
I know.
Layla
We
is
did
so
that.
far out of her element, she's in a
God.
different fucking dimension.
We literally did like the role reversal. It was like, wow, someone with medical abilities. Someone to go get something.
Dumb fucks you are.
But this is so much better.
It really is.
And I'm just gonna go around, pull my bag off my back, and just... I don't even remember what I'm here to get. I'm just gonna collect a lot of everything.
And you do so. Roll me a survival check. Let's see how fast you gather. You would have advantage on this. You do this a lot.
Yeah, but she's not feeling it right now.
You're gonna drop my
I'm
disadvantage.
gonna cancel out advantage. It's a 13.
Alright, as you do so, you go around and you nonchalantly forget thinking about what you've done, your actual objective and purpose, fogging up. You begin to gather, and whatever is in view, pick it up, uproot it. Don't even think about the technique. Even though you do have good technique, you have to be swift. But your legs are numb. And wouldn't it be fucking nice to go to sleep right now? The camera swivels back towards you, Kayla. At this point, the storm is pelting downwards, and you hear the actual the driplets of blood smacking Jericho's actual leathery skin. You hear someone slaps you in the face, and it's a hard torrent of rain that actually forces you to actually cover your eyes. It actually inhibits your ability to actually work and actually do it, but the fork is coming into play, and as long as something bad doesn't happen, you're gonna be fine.
Oh, why would you say that?
You continue onwards, and at this point, Tex, Raphael, and Altair have cycled in and brought you things. They're actually good at gathering at this point. Like, they've cycled that they're actually getting you a good pile. They're actually giving you more material than you can work with, to the point where Altair next to you actually starts helping you build the fort. And after accumulating enough like resources, you guys continue building more so and more so. And this fort actually looks like a suitable place to shelter in for the night. There is cover from the wind and from the sky that it took many different times to actually do. But slowly but surely, the pelting rains, you're able to just slowly but surely recover this. Sometimes the fort falls down, but you quickly rebuild it and make it stronger. You prop it up slowly but surely, and Jericho, for once, is actually covered, and little bits and pieces drip and hit him. But it's far better than being exposed to the full-on elements. Then your lightning roars, taunts you. What does it even want? And the three of you just shelter inwards underneath this cloak that you've made for Jericho. The lightning strikes once more. Praying to God, it doesn't strike you.
Kayla looks
But you,
off into the direction that Layla ran into. She's she's calmed down a bit, not as panicky as she was before. But she's still terrified. She can't help but wonder, what has she gotten Layla into?
What indeed?
Layla, from your perspective, you walk outwards, and the first thing you do is peer around. And you notice that neither of the axes are here. The man is no longer here. You take your steps outwards calmly but surely. He's gone. The malice and bloodlust in the air is no longer here. You begin making your way back. And as you peer on the ground, the rat that you beheaded, it's like someone came down and bit an extra bite into it
Oh,
and left it there.
I'm so sorry, Layla.
I'm just gonna shudder. I'm gonna bend down and just like hands shaking, like go between like almost touching it and like jerking her hand back because she realizes that it's a rat and is just gonna like stuck in this loop for like 30 seconds. Like a tear runs down her face. She's just like, what have I done? She's gonna stand up and just start. She's gonna make her way towards the cliff and just kind of robotically make her way up, just in little sections using the glove.
You bind your hands and you shoot up the five um, tendrils of string that. And you grab onto the top and you carry yourself up. And you look on the ground and you see there's a hole where he sheathed his axe into. But there's also an arm. A cut off, severed arm with a really familiar glove on it.
Oh.
Without even really registering the full impact of what that means, she's just gonna bend down and take the glove and put it on her other hand. She'll
You
figure
attach
out
it.
what that means later.
You attach it. There's a
Layla.
warmness to this glove. It's beautiful. And as they combine, your dexterity, you feel so much more confident in your ability. You carry that bag up relative ease, and you make your way back home.
When I get there,
and you finally break from the bushes. They see you. They smile towards you. Oh, hey, Layla. We did a thing.
Kayla rushes out and just embraces Layla.
Her face is just blank. Her hand is still wrapped tightly around the blade. She just like takes the hug and doesn't react at all. Just kind of staring. She
Tex
just
gets up.
Kayla puts her hand on Layla's cheek. I know it must have been rough, but please, did you get what I asked you to get?
without really saying anything, she just unshoulders the bag and drops it and just kind of keeps walking to go inside. A couple steps later, she just kind of drops the knife, kind of tang to tang to tang on the few pebbles lying in the dirt.
Kayla looks at Raphael pleadingly. You could see in her eyes that she's asking Raphael to take care of Layla.
Uh, 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 I, uh, he understands you. He just stammers at the thought of taking care of a woman.
Hashtag 3ex-wife gang.
But Tex
As
kind of looks at you, and in the middle of his conversation, hey, what's up, baby? He just looks at you, and his need to be energetic and welcoming looks towards you, and he sees your nature, and he withdraws immediately.
and that's why Kayla looked at Raphael.
Altair kind of sees you and just he walks into the distance and just kind of makes eye contact with Kayla. If you would like to smile, this might be the time. And he walks off into the distance.
There,
Like a fucking badass.
there is a very weak smile on her face as she's digging through the contents of Layla's bag.
You find a variety of not just shrooms, but berries and fruits and plant seeds and
Did I
roots
hear shrooms?
and
As a
such
matter of fact, you did.
that like as you touch them give you a sense of hope and sunshine. And there's a quantity in here that there's a lot. Like there's enough to cover you for as much as you can min-max it. But it's a bag's full, and these things have a magical property to them that they're actually better than what you looked for. And you have a huge sense of hope in what they can do.
Kayla immediately she grabs out the specific ones she needs, runs inside and grabs a mortar and pestle, and just gets to work making a three different things. A paste to put onto the wounds to help them heal. A uh, a salve that she a very thick salve that she rubs on top of rubs into a piece of meat that she'll feed to him to treat his headache and also calm him down without bringing him closer to that brink of death.
Roll me 3 medicine checks.
Nat 1 on the or nat 20 on the first.
Oh.
He said nat 1 and I had a fucking heart attack.
Yeah, I was like, damn, no fucking like if I was about to be like, no fucking way.
I have a +1, so I saw the 21 and I didn't even register the 2 on there. 11 on the second and
Nice.
15 on the third.
What was the first one?
Nat 20.
Nah, like what was it to make?
Oh, the first one was the paste to go on top of the wounds.
And as you do so, you make the paste and very, very quickly and agilely make it, and you sprinkle it onto his wounds. And for the first time, you see like the blood actually moving within his veins, and that's a good sign. The body that does not allow the wounds to close almost magically begin to close inwards, almost without stitches, and it scares you. And you look down at the paste, and it's incredible what this can do. It's incredible. And you slowly sprinkle it on the rest. It takes you about a minute or two to actually like sprinkle it on the rest. And Jericho, first time his body shudders, not in pain but in relief. He's unconscious, but the first time you hear him, second one, what are you trying to make?
The second one is the fever reduction salve.
Cool. You do so, and you make it, and you sprinkle that salve. This one was on the meat.
Both the fever reduction and the sedative are on the meat.
You do so, and you make both of them and sprinkle them onto a piece of fish. And you wake Jericho up and looks towards you with these kind eyes, the opposite of serpent-like, almost like a baby's, and stares towards you with a forgetful childness that warms your heart and also intrigues you. Is this Jericho? Or Jericho trying to be Jericho for you? Strange. You feed him the meat and he laps it up, almost slightly purring as he kind of inhales that. And first time, he kind of just curls up into a tiny ball and just kind of sleeps there. And he nuzzles his head up against you, his large body with an incitement that is familiar to you, that almost knocks you into the floor, pressing into your abdomen. You feel a large, almost bowling ball pressure pushing into there. There's a smile on your face. And after all this, you hear the last droplets of rain fall into the shelter before the shelter itself falls downwards and breaks. And as you pick yourself up and clear the remains of the pseudo shelter off, the dark clouds have passed. And the crack of the evening orange day shines towards you and stares downward, and just a smile gleams on your face. Jericho's gonna survive.
With that knowledge, and once once she's cleared the debris of the shelter away, she carefully curls up with Jericho, avoiding any wounds that haven't properly healed, despite the magical properties of the herb she used. And she just gently strokes him while waiting for herself to fall asleep, curled up with him.
You do so. You curl up towards him and he snags you and holds you like a fucking teddy bear into an embrace that you can't escape from, even if you tried. And almost weirdly, he spoons you and kind of pets you on the head. Layla, you've just been standing there, and Raphael kind of just stares at you. I'm not good with women. Uh, um,
What are you talking about? You've
I,
had 3 ex-wives.
I just walk past him without a word into the house. I kind of go
Layla,
in front of the fireplace.
Layla, it, I know what you've been through must be rough, but I understand that it will pass, and I Talia will probably come back soon.
I just go past him into the house. No real reaction.
You enter, and the door closes behind you.
I'm just gonna go
It's
in front of the hearth and just curl up in the fetal position until I eventually fall asleep.
You do so. And outside the group, as Layla and Kayla goes to sleep, the rest of the group kind of stirs and are confused. A silence takes hold of the group. And you guys drift off. You guys won. Whatever that means.
I feel disgusting. I feel physically disgusting.
We're gonna soft pause that there because I have to eat.
Yeah, I
If you guys
see
want to
too.
pick, if you guys want to pick it up
Food
later,
is for the weak.